Hello and welcome to another Conversation to Transform Birth. I'm Sheila Kamara Hay of Ecstatic Birth. And today we're going to be talking about the essential question, which is when we live in a world where so much of birthing culture is drenched in fear and pain, how can we hold that tone for our clients to have the highest outcome possible, to have experiences that feel empowering, that feel transformative, that feel joyful, and maybe even blissful? Today, I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Sarah Hartman, and Sarah is a very seasoned childbirth educator and doula. She's been working in the birth field for years, and she's also a community activist and leader, volunteering her time as vice president of the board of the Long Island Doula Association, which is doing really, really important work in elevating women's experiences in the community. Welcome, Sarah.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Sarah, I'd love to start right at that very potent spot. When so much of our birthing culture is about managing pain and managing the fear of the pain, how do you support your clients to have the highest experiences possible as they're navigating all of that?
I've done birth in a couple of different ways as labor support. I've been a quote unquote like a doula on call where there's no preparation, you don't even know the person you're dealing with, and you just go in and do the work. Really no space to have set up a rapport, to have talked about any of these things. So what do you do in a case like that? What I've always done is I think that people will mirror what they see. And what they feel. And so what they're getting out of your tone of voice, what they're getting out of the feel of your hand, your sense of stability, not panic, not fear. This is normal. You're doing great. This is fine. Take a deep breath. Take a good look at me. Let's look at each other through this. Let's hold hands. You establish those communications. And it's really as simple as that, right? And I think that you can elevate a birth in that way and take a woman to a really good finish, no matter what the finish is.
Yeah.
And I've had that experience with them. And immediately they calm down. Immediately they feel ready for the task at hand. Because I think a lot of the fear for women really is around, can I do it?
Yeah. And I love what sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, go.
I love what you're saying because it reminds me of that phrase that Ina May Gaskin shares, which is so much of what a woman needs in labor is a loving presence, someone who believes in her, who's unafraid. And what you're sharing reminds me so much of, what we talk about in the Ecstatic Birth Practitioner Training. I forgot to mention in the intro that I've had the pleasure of being with Sarah in the Ecstatic Birth Practitioner Training program for the last 9 months. One of the things that we focus on and talk about is really your body, your presence, for you as a practitioner to focus not just on supporting your client and all of that outward energy, but to do the inner work so that you can show up just the way that you described, with like full presence, full connection to your body, your oxytocin flow to support your clients in that way.
Yeah. And actually, and it helps me as well. If you think about it, I mean, people connect, and communication is what you give out is what you get back.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely the truth. And maybe only one or two of my clients have not been able to mirror back what I'm giving them. I mean, people are people, and some people have particular anxieties that burble up at birth. But for the most part, a calm, stable, quiet presence, support, acceptance, instills a great deal of no fear. And the belief in a woman that, yeah, you can do this.
Yeah.
You can do this. We've all done it. You can do it too. All right. And we're here to help you. I'm here for you. And that's just, and that fills me up, because as soon as the woman gets through that next contraction, or makes it through that next hour, and is maybe feeling kind of pleased with herself here and there, is accessing the relaxation moments, is connecting with her partner,
Mm.
that makes me feel very, very good. So that's food for me too. It's a loop.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that orientation about how you support yourself too, that the way in which you're supporting your clients, it actually supports you also. And one of the things I see all the time is women that hold this beautiful high vision for birth, and then the reality of what they see over and over again, there's such a mismatch that it can really start to feel very energetically draining. And then there's also the physical aspect, right, of being in the birthing room sometimes for 12 hours or 18 hours or, even more. And so this drain is a very real thing, for people that work in birth. And so I was wondering if you could speak more about that. Like, how do you hold that highest vision for birth, even though what you might see day in and day out, there's still such a gap there?
Well, everything really is perception. And it's very interesting. Women who get some real bumps in the road during their birth. Maybe it goes to C-section, and that's because they're really worried and something really might go bad, or wrong, or it's frightening in the moment. Yet they come out, and even after we process it, they're good to go.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
And other women who who have had it, it's been pretty straightforward. It's been, no bumps in the road, but somehow or another, they are perceiving that it wasn't the birth that they had planned. If a woman is my client and I've had a lot of time to work with her, we spend a lot of time working through that. This is where I think ecstatic birth absolutely comes in. Absolutely. It's one of the many ways it comes in, which is to take the journey as it comes and make it your journey.
Yeah.
And don't fear that there's going to be a bump in the road. Maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. There are a lot of people there to help you through that. And, there are goals along the way. I mean, the very fact that you've climbed this mountain is an astonishing accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's astonishing. I mean, it's funny. I've given birth 4 times, and I've watched women give birth, and I come home and I tell my husband, I don't know how I did it. I don't know how women do this. And I am just gobsmacked every time,
Yeah.
because they're magnificent.
It's
They're all magnificent.
extraordinary. It's
It's
pretty
extraordinary. Maybe they lose their cool for a bit. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You the word hold space for that. So what?
Yeah.
Okay. It's easier not to lose your cool because it's harder to come back, but we can get you back.
Yeah.
And people lose their cool, and you move on. That's your journey. So, I mean, and then I've had births that are really, 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 really long, 36 hours long. That's a long time. And I've had dads look at me and say, you should go home. And I look at him and say, yeah, no, I'm your doula.
Yeah.
I'm here for the 2 of you. We will be fine. But in that case, I need to take a break, and I do.
Yeah.
I need a physical break. I need to be able to leave the room. You find the right time to do it, and you do it so I can recharge. So, and it might be that I need to go out in the center, and maybe I need to close my eyes for a couple of minutes. Maybe I need to read
Mhm.
anything to just come back
Yeah.
and just not be there. And sometimes you need to get out of everybody's space as well.
Yeah. What I hear you saying is your own nourishment of your body, that self-care piece, like you, as much as you're there for your clients, and I hear, wow, you're there for 36 hours. There's also that piece of how's my body feeling? How's my body doing? Being in constant connection with that so that you can make sure that you have what you need so you can show up for your clients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that
Because
piece that you said earlier, which I think was so key, I want to highlight it, of, you know what, you might hit bumps along the road and you might, you might struggle with certain pieces of it, but always coming back to that place of flow. I think that's the whole game of labor, is being able to really allow that energy flow through your body so that your body can do the work that it needs to do, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do. And I think often too, what helps to recharge me, and I think it's Ina May Gaskin, I think she was, well, she's right. And bring your sense of humor to the labor room. And it really does help to have that attitude. And the couples that do the very best actually have that.
Yeah.
They really do. They know how to smile, they know how to laugh, they know how to shake off whatever thing might be an embarrassment, because it's labor. There's nothing embarrassing. I mean, it's just, that's something you have to leave eventually along the way during the journey.
Yeah, and laughter, as we know, like when your mouth and throat are open, that helps you open down below. And laughter it makes you feel good and it helps your body open. And it's one of the tools that you can use to really support you in labor. There's so many tools that feel really good. And I think laughter is a really powerful one.
I do too. I have a joke book. I usually bring it with me.
I love that.
And it's not for everybody. I mean, not everybody wants to have jokes, but some people really do. And sometimes it's good when everybody's really, really tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And one of the things we talk about in ecstatic birth is there's a whole spectrum of tools that feel really good to your body that can also support you in labor. And, laughing might not be for everyone. Sensual touch might not be for everyone. Dancing might not be for everyone. But in the whole spectrum of tools, usually people can find a few to support them. And the beautiful thing is when you integrate these practices and tools that feel good to your body, not only are they supporting the flow of your labor, they're also making you feel good in the moment. So it's win-win, like laughter supports the flow of your labor, it supports your body to open, but it also feels really good. And the same is true of dancing, and the same is true of cuddling, and the same is true of loving touch. So these are all, it's really the simplest way, I think, to elevate the birth experience by bringing in these experiences that feel really good to your body, might stimulate your oxytocin flow and support the flow of your labor in that way. And also at the very most basic level, they help you feel good.
I couldn't agree more.
I wanted to ask you one more question, Sarah, about your advocacy work, because there's that level where you're working one-on-one with clients, and then there's the level where how you show up as a birth practitioner. But I think birth advocacy is this whole other thing. And when you're really passionate and you're wanting to make change in your community, that can also be pretty challenging, given how far apart we are from that vision that we hold for what birth can be and what we want expected moms to have, as opposed to what most women understand birth to be, which is this painful, scary experience. So I'm curious how you navigate that in your advocacy work.
Well, LIDA does a good job, I think, with that. The organization itself really does try to address a number of things. I mean, we address it through the Community Support Fund, which I'm most familiar with because I help to administer that. And that really does strive to give support to women who do not have resources to get a doula.
Yeah.
So we do that for them. And there's some qualifications that go along with it, but we strive really hard to get a woman a doula if she really can't get one on her own, if she can't afford it.
That's amazing.
And so we, and we think that that helps to propel a message.
Yeah.
Those women are some very good ambassadors for having had a good supported birth, a birth where they felt safe and often elevated.
Yeah.
And they speak to others about that, and then that starts to trickle down. And I think that we have seen, we also have we've been working at diversity within our organization. That's a big deal. And we have some really good doulas who head that up. And right now, I honestly think our organization has had something, if not a lot, to do with this whole concept of maternal morbidity. And I see that trickling down and up to centers of power. Obviously, the state is really interested in it now. And I mean, you see it coming out of the governor's office, and it has been for a while. It is now an issue that we're seeing in our own county. And I used to work in government. That was somewhere I had been for a number of years. And so they're reaching out to me and to, as a member of this organization, but about a task force for maternal morbidity. And that's going to be a countywide task force. So I think that is, they want the doula point of view. And I think what we know, what we see that works, and I guess we're going to eventually need to get away from what's anecdotal to what's data driven, right?
Yeah.
To see where the problems really are with maternal morbidity and why we are seeing such elevated numbers. And I think that that's a big part of the advocacy.
Yeah.
I mean, we just should not be having this, but we do.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the first tactic that LIDA is taking as an organization is to provide doulas to women that want it, even if they can't afford it. That support is that critical in elevating a woman's experience in birth. All the data shows that, right? I love that famous saying, if a doula were a drug, it would be unethical not to use it, because it improves maternal outcomes dramatically. And so that makes a lot of sense that would be the first tactic. And it is actually very exciting, not that, we want these issues to be as commonplace as they are, but it is very exciting the amount of attention that they're getting right now, because it means that the systems are finally pliable, and that the integral piece of support that you just highlighted, it's being valued more than ever. And you're right, we've seen that come out of Cuomo's office. We've seen so many of his initiatives to bring better access to support and care and birth to all communities.
Yeah, and they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be easy. I mean, we have already been on some of the conversations about how we draw doulas in, and which is great, but the community needs to be respected as well, the doula community. And I mean, it's just, there's a lot that they have to understand. And it's not an easy answer as to why we have such maternal morbidity. I mean, it's more than one moving part, but I think that doulas are one piece of the answer.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
I really do.
Agree.
And doulas promoting and using the right tools for clients, I think, is the answer as well. And I kind of think ecstatic birth is a really good tool.
Thank you so much. You know, you reminded me of Dr. Christian Northrup. She talks about a lot of women that are attracted to the birthing field have their own stuff that they're unconsciously or maybe even consciously trying to process. And I think that as care providers, as women that work in birth, we have a responsibility to really look at ourselves and our patterns. How do we flow through the unexpected? How do we resolve, like, you know, things that we're afraid of? How do we move through that? How do we hold the tone for the highest vision, even when what we're seeing is very different? And that's the training that, as you know, I'm really passionate about with ecstatic birth. How do we access the oxytocin flow within our own bodies? And when we do that deep inner work, it gives us that presence that you were talking about, that presence of being able to support a woman, even if she has not been able to prepare herself in the way that we would like, that we can still show up with that presence, with that oxytocin flow, with that calm, with that connection, and bring that into the birthing room for her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sarah, I'm so grateful to you for coming and having this conversation with me. Is there anything that you didn't share yet that you'd like to?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think so.
again, thank you so much. And for any of you that are watching that would like to learn more about how you can support your clients in pleasure, I have a 3-part video training series that you can sign up for. Just click on the link below. All right. Lots of love, everyone. Bye, Sarah. Thank
Hi,
you.
thank you.
All right.